I just said the way you and Tony strut your stuff and walk down here like you're gunning for people all the time.
Well, you're not innocent as well.
Bro, it's fucking these two are in a pickle. We're gonna have to step in it.
No, because they've been on us.
It's the way you were coming at Shakira as if you've never said anything bad. That's the problem.
I am here for the girls holding Megan to account because she said some of the meanest things, especially to people she doesn't know. The fact that she threw an F-bomb about Billykiss when she hadn't even met Billykiss just because she was told Billykiss was coming in. And the audacity not to apologize. Why can't she say, I'm sorry? Kudos to Helena for apologizing, but why can't Meg say I'm sorry? And it takes one to recognize one. For her to call the girls mean girls, what has she been saying and doing behind their back? Why has production protected her from some of the most malicious and vindictive things she said? And I hope there's a part two. I really hope there's a part two, because these are not the only people that have done something that's out of order. We need to hear the things that Ben has said. Why have we not heard about Ben? I really hope there's a movie night part two, and I can't wait to see that. And the fact that these girls are sitting there, you have Meg telling, Helena off, saying that you don't recognize anything negative that Harry does, and yet Dijon is playing her like a football and she's just sitting there and she's not saying anything. I don't get it. I can't wait to see. Hopefully there's a part two. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island UK, Season 12, Episode 33. I'm starting to side-eye Harrison because he's just being a menace for no apparent reason. I think he's realized this will get him airtime and he's aligned himself with the crew that he didn't get along with when he first came into the villa. So he's speaking to Lauren at the fire pit, and Lauren is asking him, so what's going on with Tony? Are you still interested in exploring her, or is it over? And he's trying to make it seem like he doesn't care. Oh, with Tony's over. I'm just for you. I'm focused on you. I don't care what she's doing and what she's up to. And it's like, we all know Harrison likes sort of winding Tony up. He likes getting a reaction from her. So he's still going to always go back to her and try and see if he can sort of explore that. Unless she shuts him down, then he's going to move on. You have Dijon having a conversation. Well, you were sitting with Harry and Helena came through and she started joking. And it's like, with friends like Helena and Meg, who needs enemies? Who needs enemies? I can only imagine what would happen. Let's say if Tony, Shakira, Billykiss, Yasmin all left the villa and left the two of them together. They would eat each other alive because they thrive on being toxic and messy. And so when they can't be with anybody else, then they start being messy. Because as a friend, you would have expected Helena to come and speak to Dijon and say to Dijon, it's unacceptable what you're doing. You can't continue to flirt with girls. You can't continue to explore connections. Meg was very upset because she wasn't sure. No, but she's actually saying to him, you'd never win. She's busy saying she's not a mug. Her bottle doesn't say mug. And it's like, oh my God, what sort of friend is this? I don't get it. You have Tony was sitting on the day beds with Cash. She's minding her business with Cash. It seems she's very happy with him. He pacifies her and she's very giddy around him. So I love that for her. And then you have Andrada having a conversation with Lauren. So Andrada is asking Lauren, do you have a connection with anybody else, or is it just Harrison? And she says, well, it's Harrison. And she's asked, so what's going on between Harrison and Tony? Are they still exploring, or are they done? And Lauren is saying, well, I've spoken to him. He said there's nothing there, he's done with Tony, so it's just me. And I love that Andrada gave her the best advice possible, that be wary of this man. Just keep an eye to make sure that he's definitely shutting things down, because you might think he's shutting things down when he's exploring with somebody else, and then you wake up and he's gone and you have no one to explore with. Anyway, Harrison on the mini fire pit is busy having a conversation with Shakira. Shakira is asking him, what's going on? What's going on with you and Tony? Why are you behaving the way you're behaving? You're being disrespectful. I think he's rubbing it in Tony's face, the fact that he's all lovey-dovey with Lauren, he's kissing her in the pool and he's doing everything. I think he's doing that because Tony called him a P-U-S-S-Y when he was trying to hide in the hideaway and on the terrace to kiss Helena. So I think he's trying to do it to show her that I don't care about you, we're over. And so his argument is, Tony has moved on, she's recoupled with somebody else. And it's like, yeah, she met this man 3 days ago, she's exploring a connection with him. that doesn't mean her feelings for you are shut down. You're still coming back. It's not like you're completely gone and she's now only got this guy to focus on. So for him to try and be dismissive, I'm not buying it. I really don't buy it. And then you have Dijon feeling sorry for himself. And Meg, she gave the ultimatum. Suddenly she's coming. Are you sad? What do you think, Sherlock Holmes? What do you think? This is why these boys are playing you, because you never stick to one decision. If you're going to sort of humble him and give him an ultimatum, leave him to decide what to do with his ultimatum before you intervene. So the islanders get ready for the night. In the bathroom, you have Ben trying to convince Tony to forgive him. I think he realized he screwed up. I think Maya calling him out and then everybody else sort of telling him that he's got 2 brain cells, he's realized that he screwed the push and he's trying to get Tony on his side. That way, if Tony's on his side, then everybody else has no choice but to be on his side. For him to say, this could be our last day, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Anyway, everybody goes to bed. Harrison obviously is talking about the fact that he's exploring, he's happy with Lauren, everything seems to be going great, and it's like, okay, it is what it is. When they get in bed, you now have, this is what I always say, do not involve yourself in couple issues, because Dijon was now downloading everything Helena was saying to him to Megan, and yet they are upset with each other. With Megan, we're being told that they are on the brink of breaking up, and yet is busy telling her Helena was saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I want to see what happens. Because now, at least, she's doing it to her own friend. At least her friend can see how all the other girls felt every time Helena was being messy. So I can't wait to see what happens there. At the moment, the villa is overcrowded. It is overcrowded. People are just sleeping wherever they can lay their heads. I think it seems like production must be holding a raffle of where people are sleeping, because you have people sleeping in the den. Actually, there's no one sleeping on the day beds. Maybe people complained, and then you have people sleeping upstairs. So they all wake up, they come downstairs to the main bedroom. And personally, what I was expecting Megan to pull Helena and have a chat with her, because if she was fuming the night before she went to bed, why did she not pull her? But instead she was there in the changing room with the other girls and just giggling and giddy, and it's like, make it make sense. If you are upset that your friend is saying stuff behind your back, why not pull her aside and have a conversation and let her know how you feel about what she's doing? But anyway, at the end of the day, Meg created this monster. She was cheering when Helena was doing the same thing to Tony and Shakira. So this is her monster that she bred. She has to deal with the consequences of her actions. She created it. So it is what it is. People go into their little couples to have breakfast, which was really cute. I loved Cash and Tony. Cash and Tony seem to be doing very well. We barely get to see their chats. We are more focused on this Harrison situation, which leads me to believe that they're great. They're doing very well. Production, it seems, is trying to pull a Mimi on Tony. I wouldn't be surprised if they ask Tony to go to the terrace to speak to Harrison and Tony refuses, because why do we keep hearing about Tony and Harrison in the same line? Anyway, you have Tony saying to Cash she can't wait for him to take her to ends, and it's like, well, his mates will be excited to meet you, because I remember how excited they were. I saw them on TikTok, how excited they were when Tony chose to couple up with Cash. So I think they'll be ecstatic. You have Ben and Andrade having conversations and breakfast on the terrace. And he is saying to Andrade, I'm happy that we're not just all over each other at the moment, that we're actually having deeper conversations, because this is what I want. I don't want us to constantly be on top of each other and just making out. I want us to have substance. And it's like, she's trying to do that because she still thinks there's hope with Dijon. That's just the impression that I get. Because at the end of the day, even when Dijon broke up with her, she was saying he is not breaking up with her because it's over. He's breaking up with her because Meg has sent him to do that. And we all can agree to that. So if Ben believes whatever he's saying, good for him. Dijon had made breakfast for Meg, so they're sitting there, they're having a conversation. They're sort of agreeing that they're going to ignore Helena and not focus on that. They're just going to focus on the two of them and not try and sort of have... more or less, if they have an issue, they discuss it amongst themselves and not have any second or third party or opinions from other people. And it's like, Dijon is about to run game on you, because if you are agreeing with the fact that you shouldn't consult anyone, you are in trouble. At the end of the day, this is your monster. The two of you encouraged it when you're encouraging her to go after Harry, and you're encouraging Harry to go out with her. So whatever happens, it's, your monster, you created it. Tony then pulls Lauren for a chat to the fire pit. They go to the fire pit, and Harrison is nervous because he doesn't know what's happening. And I love that Tony said to her, I have no beef with you. I want you to understand this. My beef is with Harrison. So feel free, anytime you want to talk to me, any questions you have, come and see me. We'll have a chat and we'll come up with a plan. But don't be afraid to speak to me. I don't bite. And it's like, I wish this is what Megan had said to the bombshells when they were coming in. At least be, big enough to sort of say to someone, you can speak to me at any time. You can ask me any questions you have. Don't be afraid to ask me. I wish that was extended to people like Malisha and Billykiss by Megan. You have Dijon and Connor in the den, and Dijon is saying to Connor, can you bring Meg to the terrace? I want to have a conversation with her. And it's like, oh God. This is so coordinated, so planned that you can tell that this was his plan from day one. Anyway, he goes to the terrace. You have Connor pull Meg for a chat, and he says, I need some advice in regards Emma, but I want us to go to the terrace. She goes to the terrace with him. I'm surprised she didn't ask where is Dijon. She got to the terrace, and Dijon was sitting there. They sat down. He brought out his phone. He started giving her this little spiel of, I have no fear, no pride. I just want to be exclusive with you. And then he read something he had written down. And it's like, Dijon is smart. I wonder when he wrote that down. I would love to know when exactly he wrote that down, because I have a feeling this is something that was premeditated. All these fights and all these whatever. He came in with a plan of pretending to explore connections with people, and then eventually asking the girl that he walked in on day one with to couple up, to be exclusive. Do I think it will last? I don't think so. I think this is going to be a Sammy and Jess situation. I think over time it's just going to wear off, and then they're going to break up. You haven't rather have a conversation with Tony, and Tony is saying that she does not care about Harrison. She doesn't feel anything for him. She doesn't care about him. If Lauren wants to continue to entertain him, that's her business. And she said, at the end of the day, I don't understand why he's flirting with me, because I have already moved on. I'm with somebody else. So he is the one with the issue. I don't care about him. On his part, you have, Harrison at the fire pit is asking, Lauren, what did you discuss with Tony? And she said, I asked her, is she still interested in exploring a connection with you? She said no. I asked her if she, why did she think you're going to sort of bring somebody? And then I eventually said to her, if she had known that you were not bringing anyone, would she still have coupled up? And she said yes. And Harrison is saying, do you believe that? And they're both laughing, no. And it's like, girl, you've already seen Harry be playing Helena like a football. You're about to be played by this man. You're about to be played. Then you have Dijon on the sun deck with Boris, Connor, Harry, and Harrison. And he's excited. So he's telling the guys, I've closed things off with Meg. And they're all just side-eyeing him. They're just side-eyeing him because they know this is just a game for Dijon. And Meg is about to cry. Meg then sits there with the girls. They were posing with ice creams and stuff. And then she sits there with the girls and says to the girls, oh, I just wanted to let you know that Dee took me to the terrace and he sort of read out this speech. And, he's asked me to be exclusive. And everyone was side-eyeing her. The face on Yasmin and Tony could smell BS from a mile away. Even Billykiss was just smiling there. And it's like, people know that this man is playing her and we all can't wait. You'd have expected them to be all more excited than they were, but they all knew that this is a game for Dijon. It's not going to last anyway. Yasmin then receives a text message. Islanders, it's time to glam up and take front row seats for a night at the movies. Hashtag it's movie night. Hashtag it's time to face the footage. So movie night starts. They really looked great. They really did. And then Megan is wearing that dress that Mimi and Jess wore last season, and it's like it's not the same. It really is not the same. At times when you see someone else wear a dress and you know that it doesn't fit your body, avoid it. Anyway, I digress. So they all sit down, and when they sit down, you sort of get to see, well, this time it was different because normally they would get to choose what they want to see, but in this situation, production are just playing whatever video they want to play, whatever name in whatever order. So they started off with Harry. When Harry met Helena, Shakira, Yasmin, and Rio, and so they played Harry's greatest hits, and Harry is always full of pride. He doesn't care what is being said, and so people were sort of questioning, his connection, and the comments that Harry sort of made with Helena about Dijon and Meg came up, and Dijon and Meg felt some type of way, so they wanted to protect their relationship. They were trying to clarify, and you had Helena say, what I was trying to say is there's no spark, the two of you are very mellow. Harry on his part was saying Dijon, when he's away from Meg, he's a totally different person. He's always missing Meg, and it's like, nah, that's not it. We'll see later when Dijon's clips come out how he's always flirting with the bombshell, so I don't buy it. And Dijon wanted to reiterate that, he has a spark with Meg. No one else can tell him that he's got a spark with Meg. And it's like, he doesn't. Even when they kiss, it's like someone is choreographing it. So the idea that they want to lie to us and say, they've got this spark, we're still looking for it. We're in the dark and we can't even see it. And then Shakira had to say to them, yes, Dijon and Meg, you're talking about your relationship, but this is not about you. This is about Helena and Harry and the things that Harry has said to her. And so, you had Emma pipe up that, Harry's always a snake. He'll snake people in relationships, in business, in family, in everything. He's always going to snake someone, so you need to be careful. On her part, Meg was upset because she felt that, Helena was telling her one thing and telling Dijon a different thing, and it's like, it's not that deep. It really is not that deep. I feel like the reason why they didn't have smoke for Helena is because they know that outside of Helena and Harry, they have no one. Yes, they're close with other people, but they're not as close as they are with those two people, and they can always count on them as part of their alliance. In my opinion, I think this is why they didn't want to smoke them out. Next up was Tony. Hers was She Is All Tony. And so they showed all of Tony's greatest hits. And what I loved about Tony's clips is she was never talking about anyone else outside of her couple. She wasn't bad-mouthing anyone outside of her couple. And the only way she was bad-mouthing anyone else is because they were trying to interfere in her couple. Otherwise, she always had no smoke for anyone else, which I loved. She said, well, Harrison said he didn't know that she was still talking about him, and it's like, be a big boy, do your own thing and leave me alone. And so then you had, this conversation where Lauren wanted to know what Shakira and Harrison had been discussing, and Shakira said, no, speak to Harrison. If he wants you to know, he will tell you, but I am not going to do his work. He needs to be the one to open his mouth and tell you exactly what we discussed and how we discussed it. You then had, Lauren saying, if he's not going to tell me, can you tell me? And, the girls were like, no, we're not. You need to speak to your man, which is right, though. Next up was Young Bull, which was all about Harrison, talking about the fact there's no sexual attraction with Tony. He's the most excited he's been with the girls in Casa. They showed clips of him and Helena, sort of confessing that he wanted to couple up with her. And it's like, wow, this is going to be something else. And prior to his thingy, he tried to sort of insert Cash and sort of ask Cash, how do you feel about Tony crying about me and saying she has feelings for me? And I'm happy that Cash said, I was with Tony for 3 days to build a connection. You've been with Tony for weeks. So it's understandable that she would have feelings for you. I'm not going to hold her to account to say, why are you having feelings for this man? It's bound to happen. It's a matter of us sort of... he was more or less implying that he and Tony need to focus on them, and then Harrison needs to focus on his couple. If he's going to speak to Tony, then whatever happens there, but Cash is not going to sort of insert himself and say to Tony, you can't speak to this man, which I really loved. With Harrison, then he wanted to, he was asked by Tony, why didn't you leave me when I broke up with you? Why did you come back? If you're saying there was no romantic spark, there was no sexual attraction, why did you come back for me? Why didn't you leave me alone? Because he wanted to stay in the villa. That's the reason why. He wanted to stay in the villa, and he knew the only way he could stay in the villa was if he coupled up with you. And then, he was saying, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? And she said, you lied to everyone. You lied to Helena, you lied to myself, you lied to Lauren, you lied to the next girl. So I don't trust you. And so for his girl to continue to ask stupid questions, it's like, girl, are you not seeing that this man is playing with you? Seriously, you are the hottest thing at the moment, but if somebody else comes, he's going to dump you. For Emma to chime in and say that Tony's bitter, I don't think she knew that Tony had bite, because Tony said you're the most bitter person in this villa, which is the truth, though, which is the truth, because she's always said negative things about Harry, so the audacity to come in and try and call someone else bitter. Mom, sit down. Why does it feel like production is protecting certain islanders and their gunning for other islanders. Make it make sense. Anyway, next one is good Dijon hunting, and we all know it's about to be messy. Meg has the audacity to say to everyone, speak up if you need to. And it's like, why should we fight your battle? You have not been fighting for us. You've actually been throwing us under the bus. So why should we be fighting your battle? At the end of the day, you're still going to take Dijon regardless of what he says or does. Anyway, so what stood out for me was, he called, they showed him having conversations with Malaysia, with Caprice, and then with Andrada. They didn't show Billykiss' section. I think they're waiting until it's Billy's turn. Meg was taken aback when he called Andrada baby girl. There was flirting, there was sexual attraction comments and stuff. And surprisingly, I've said this before, that Meg has a lot of smoke for people from a certain sort of ethnic group. And then with other people, she's okay with it. Because they showed Dijon kissing and they showed everybody sort of commenting and saying he looks like a kid in a candy store. She wasn't upset about that. And it's like, seriously, what do you mean? How can you sit there and just keep quiet while this man is continuing to embarrass you? He spoke about having sexual attraction. We haven't heard about him having sexual attraction. And then we saw the clip of Andrada. Sadly, Andrada's bit was mixed with Dijon, saying she wanted to kiss him, and you could see she was quaking, because at the end of the day, she's in a couple with Ben, and Ben is seeing her flirt with somebody else and is now questioning, is she in a couple with me just because she wants to come to the villa, or is she in a couple with me because she really likes me? Because he actually asked her that, you said you wanted to kiss Dijon, so did you pursue a connection with me just to come to the villa, or did you pursue a connection? Then, Harrison had the audacity to chime in and want to sort of give his opinion about why are you exploring multiple connections, blah, blah, blah. And I'm happy she told him, you have explored multiple connections, so you have no leg to stand on. I would appreciate if you could please mind your business and allow me to sort out my own issues, because Harrison, I think, was trying to be a good guy. With Dijon, he was able to worm his way out of it, because he said just a few words to sort of throw people off. And as soon as Andrada stepped in, he made it seem like Andrada was the villain, because he said, I've shut things off with you, so I don't even know why you're talking to me. And then it left Andrada on the main as the topic, because now people wanted to know, why is she flirting with this man? Why is she talking about kissing him? And it was very awkward, and it's like, oh my God. Next up was Shaka Blanca. I feel like production wants to throw Shakira under the bus. I feel like they are really trying to make her the villain of this series, because at the end of the day, the viewers have seen that Meg and Helena are the villains, and they're worried that if one of the two girls go home, then one is left on her own and the other girls don't want anything to do with them. So they're now trying to make it seem like Shakira is the villain, because her edits were actually terrible, and I don't get it. I hope when it's Helena's turn, we get sort of edits that verify or clarify why Shakira felt the way she did, because she did talk about the fact that Helena keeps coming after her guys, Helena keeps coming after her clothes, and so for Helena to say you're a mean girl, it's like, please, the pot is calling the kettle black, please keep quiet. How many negative things have you done? How many times have you tried to sort of get Shakira to act out of character? So the audacity for you to now sit there and say that someone is a mean girl, we're not buying it. You are the mean girl. You've been the mean girl from the start. So please take several seats. We're not buying that nonsense. I love that Shakira stood up for herself. For Megan to say, oh, Shakira, that was mean. Why would you talk about a girl in the beginning? It's like, you remember in the changing room when Helena said she was wearing Shakira's bathing suit, you actually shouted, oh, F it, do it. And so please keep quiet and take several seats. We're not here for that. So you have the Islanders sitting and waiting for the next clip, and Tommy sort of asking Harry that, are you not worried? And Harry said, no, I'm not worried, because I always find a way to get out of it. And it's like, he knows who he's dealing with. He knows he can get away with anything that he wants. And so he's not going to be worried. Next one is Free Billykiss. And I am side-eyeing Meg. I really am side-eyeing her. And I'm side-eyeing everybody else around that projector screen, because nobody asked her to apologize to Billykiss. And I'm wondering, if that had been anybody else, would they not have demanded an apology? Because we did get to see that Billykiss wasn't lying when she said this man was flirting with her and sort of saying that he wanted to get to know her. The fact that he was saying her body is amazing and ranking her as a 10 out of 10. And so for Meg to say, yeah, we need to free Billykiss. Yeah, you need to free her and you need to apologize to her. Where is the apology? I didn't hear an apology, and I'm surprised nobody else called her out on that, because she needed to apologize for calling this girl out of her name and for telling her she was undesirable. That's unacceptable. For telling her you're not a priority, you're nothing. I wish she had apologized. I really did. I really wish she had apologized. Next up was Helena. Helena, I think her clips were tame because she's done a lot more. The fact that she was asking Harry to go to the hideaway, that wasn't shown. Everything that she's done wasn't shown. And so I don't get it. I don't understand why she wasn't called out. Yes, they said, you know, they showed the clips about the hideaway, which showed that it wasn't Yasmin's fault to say that, you know, we didn't kiss. It was Harry who asked her not to say anything. So at least they all know the truth. And yet Helena, yeah, I give her credit for apologizing to Yasmin and saying, you know, you're not boring. I've got to know you. You're actually not boring. But still, there was a lot more she could have said. And she needed to apologize to the other girls. We should have seen all the other clips of her chasing after Ty. We needed to see clips of her chasing after, you know, I'm not saying he's perfect Harry. And that wasn't shown. So I'm very disappointed. And then with Meg, I feel like production is trying to paint Shakira as the villain, and they're trying to sort of give Helena and Meg a redemption story by making them seem like the victims. Because for Meg's clips, yes, I'm happy they showed her sort of swearing and blinding and whatever, but still I feel like we should have seen more of it. And she needed to apologize to the girls for her behavior. Kudos to the girls for calling her out and saying, you like to pretend like you're an angel and yet you're not. You've been saying some of the worst things about people. They showed clips of her talking badly about Shakira and you know, Tony, and her excuse is, oh, you were saying nasty things about Helena. Why were they saying nasty things about Helena? Helena is not an angel. So the audacity for you to think you're an angel and you need to get away with stuff, I didn't buy it. And I'm very disappointed in Helena and Meg's clips because they have done worse. We have seen worse, and I wish it had been shown. For Dijon to step in and try and sort of intervene, why? I love that, you know, as per usual, Tony said, oh, well, okay, referee, because he saw that she was being overwhelmed, and sadly her friend was nowhere to be found to protect her. And the boys even noted that how come Helena is not backing up, and it's like because they're not that close a friend. Anyway, I can't wait to see what happens. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 32. Bye guys.